24th, 2016 is now 6:05 p.m. If you wish to speak on an agenda or a non-agenda item, please sign up on the sheet near the entrance door to the council chambers. You'll be called to speak during the public comment section. Comments or testimony on agenda items listed under public hearing. Public comment will be taken at that time. Roll call, please.
Mayor Don Williams.
Here.
Dick Anderson.
Here.
Chester Norikis.
Here.
Wes Ryan.
Here.
Susan Walke. Here. And Kip Ward.
Here.
Thank you. Will you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, thank you. And if I could, we'll do the consent agenda and such, but I want to ask council's indulgence. We have a young man who is going to ask for a few minutes of time, and I'd like to be able to get him home closer to his dinner time. So if we could move presentation number 4 up before the council deliberations on rezoning, if that'd be okay? Yeah, everyone's good with that? Okay, great. All right, then we're at the consent agenda. Minutes of meeting October 10th, 2016. Minutes of meeting February 22nd, 2016.
Mayor, I would just like to make a note that I received some corrections. So both of those have just some Scribner's errors and a couple of corrections that I did already do. So.
Okay.
So I move to approve the consent agenda as revised, I guess.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, now we're going to just jump ahead just a little bit. And I'm going to skip the comment section just because I'm going to let Mr. Loney get up here. Ian, would you like to come forward?
Hello, I'm Ian Loney.
And Ian, that does move if you want to pull that closer to you. Thank you. Tell us why you're here, Ian.
I am here because I presented a speech to the middle school at Taft High School about a week called Red Ribbon Week, which starts today.
Red Ribbon Week?
Yes, Red Ribbon Week is the celebration of the life of Kiki Camarena, a DEA agent and Marine who was brutally murdered after uncovering and helping bust a multi-billion dollar drug production, what would I call it? It's not a plant, but the production house called Rancho Buffalo, which was producing $8 billion of marijuana a year. And when the drug lord found out, he had Kiki kidnapped, and then he was tortured for 36 hours and then killed. His body was found on the street about a week later. And so the DEA and a congressman named Duncan Hunter, a high school friend of Kiki's whose name I currently have forgotten. Okay. They got together and started Camarena clubs in Kiki's hometown of Calexico, California, and they started wearing red ribbons to signify their commitment to not doing drugs. These people flew into a national convention it was a national convention, and Nancy Reagan was there then. She was the First Lady of the United States. And they presented these pledges to not do drugs to her, and she started urging state organizations and city organizations to start honoring Kiki in the last week of October, and it's grown to now being a national thing.
Great. Thank you so much. Ian came to my attention a while ago. We've been trying to get together here to do a little presentation, and I met you at the Celebration of Honor, and you participated in that, and just thank you for your efforts. It's really great. We're going to be, I don't have it with me, I'm afraid. We're going to be issuing a letter of appreciation to Young Marine Lance Corporal Ian Loney in appreciation of his efforts with the Young Marines to bring Red Ribbon Week to Lincoln City and Taft High School. So I'll make sure I get that to you. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't you come up here? All right, well done. All right, thank you, council, for your indulgence and folks in the audience. Okay, we are at comments from citizen present on agenda, non-agenda items. This is an opportunity for members of the audience to bring to the council's attention. Whoa, did I blow right past something? I sure did. God, I am so sorry. Council deliberations, rezoning Beach Club Event Center. Feel free to just jump right in.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
did you do the consent agenda?
We did.
Okay.
Blew right past you.
On the council deliberations, if you recall, this is was carried forward from our last meeting. The staff is recommending that this be continued again until the November 14th meeting. We're recommending it for two reasons, one of which I will discuss and the other one our city attorney will discuss. If you recall, this project has several other things that pertain to it beyond just the rezoning, and we would like to deal with all of those together. Those items include the rezoning of the property, a parking agreement, report on the site plan application, and the meeting that was held last Thursday, the property exchange, and a lot line adjustment. And then Mr. Apicella is going to discuss the second reason for this.
I sent you communication on this, and essentially you're acting in your quasi-judicial capacity. You're basically the judges on this application. The application is for rezoning. The record closed last Friday. There was a request at the close of the hearing to leave the record open. However, nothing was submitted. Unfortunately, I was made aware of the fact that there is a flyer, I suppose, a mailing that has gone out, which counselors have received, several counselors have received, and that contains information about this application. Since we're at a point where the record has closed, you now have received essentially an ex parte communication. So the method under your code and under state law to cure an ex parte violation is to disclose the substance of the ex parte communication and to announce that parties have the right to rebut the substance of the ex parte communication. Since the record is closed, you will need to reopen the record in order to provide a meaningful opportunity for people to rebut the substance of the allegation. I'm sorry, the substance of the communication. So essentially, the communication was a mailing which was done by a candidate. I believe his name is Mr. Scrutton, and I have provided that mailing to the recorder. The mailing was received by several of you, and I will ask that the mayor go ahead and read the script statement about ex parte communications, but that there's no need to read the document. I've placed it in the record. Essentially, the document alleges impropriety on the part of the Planning Commission and the applicant, having to do with awarding free parking to the applicant as part of the Planning Commission's recommendation to council. I know that several people have approached you, so Your Honor, if you want, I can read it. Do you have a copy of the? Okay, so the question for council is, does any member of the council wish to declare any ex parte contact, conflict of interest, or bias in this matter? And if you could just go down the line and say, if you receive the mailing, then the substance of the mailing has been placed into the record, and if you had any other communication regarding this application, please place it on the record.
I haven't received the mailing and haven't seen it.
I have received the mailing. I had also declared an ex parte early on in this hearing due to that I had seen some rough plans well before anything was done as far as through the Planning Commission, and I couldn't tell you what it was, but I did see some early on plans.
I did not receive the mailing. I believe I received it tonight, but I have not read it yet. I have heard some discussion take place. I did not participate in that discussion.
Your Honor,
Yes.
did you receive?
Oh, it's my turn. I thought you were going to ask me a question. Yeah, I received the mailer. I don't even know if I read it, but no influence, no change, no nothing.
Yeah, I received the mailing, and I was approached by Deanna Hinton and Riley Hoagland regarding the content of the letter.
I received the mailing as well.
And I'll just add that the chairman of the Planning Commission had sent an email, which I actually ended up blind copying you on, so you saw that he had objected to the content of the mailing as well. In order to provide a meaningful opportunity for any person to rebut the allegations in the mailing, I'd like to request that at this time you reopen the record. I provided I sent you an email earlier with a suggested motion in order to address this. Again, if you announce the substance of the communication, again, we've entered it into the record, this was the mailing from Mr. Scrutton. If you provide the substance of the communication, any party may rebut the substance of the allegation, has a right to. It's a substantive error if you don't allow for this. So my suggestion would be to reopen the record for the limited purpose to allow interested parties to rebut the substance of the ex-parte communication, which is previously discussed, and such rebuttal must be submitted to the City Planning Department on or before Wednesday, November 12th at noon, and deliberations for this matter would be continued to November 14th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Discussion? This will just be written communication? Written rebuttal?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be no hearing, just written communication.
Okay, so, just so I'm clear on what we're motioning motioning to reopen that for the written communication rebuttal.
Written, yes.
Okay.
Reopen for the limited purpose
Purpose.
of allowing a written rebuttal of the ex-parte communication, that being the communication from Mr. Scrutton.
Mr. Mayor, and it's also to continue the deliberation until November 14th.
All right, but that's a second motion.
It was part of
It
that.
was all part of
I
it.
didn't hear that part. All right. All right. Any other discussion? No, it's clear as mud. All right. Do we need a roll call or no? No? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Your Honor, could I ask if the applicant would consent to the continuance? For the record, she indicated yes.
Who is she?
Ms.
Bradley.
Lila Bradley.
Thank you. All right. So we've blown through the rezoning, correct?
Yes.
All right, now, comments from citizens present on agenda, non-agenda items. This is an opportunity for members of the audience to bring to the council's attention any item not listed on the agenda for public hearing or public comment. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per citizen, and the city recorder will use the light system. Speakers may not yield their times to others, and as a general rule, this is not a time for exchange of questions. At the conclusion of this agenda item, a councilor may discuss or raise questions regarding an item presented by a citizen. The mayor has the authority to reduce the time allowed for comment in accordance with the number of persons present and signed up to speak. I have no list. Here goes. Scratches. Heather? There you are.
Written to him.
Adjourned. Oh, and Rachel, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Rachel. Yes, that's
Well, Rachel was in the city where you reside.
I know,
Lonnie.
because Jim Hoover threw me off. He was right behind me. I wanted to beat him to the punch. Heather Hatton, I live in Glen. I don't know what we're supposed to say. I've never
You don't
done
have
this.
to. Just
Okay, great. And this is,
Rachel Garnick, President of the Chamber of Commerce.
and I'm past president, so we want to just come and give you a little information about our Chowder and Brewfest that happened a couple weeks ago. And I'll just talk to you a little bit. I'm sure you know how it got birthed, but I will just give you a little brief. October last year, Ed and I were in a room with a couple of his staff members. We were talking about zip codes. And we said, yeah, that'd be great. We'll help you out at Chinook Winds, right? And so he talked about the chowder competition. I talked about our October Brewfest. I was president of the chamber at the time, and we thought, well, these are two events that are okay, right? But we want to make one really cool event. So when you work with Ed, things just happen. Like you got a great staff in the VCB. It's the best staff I've ever worked with in the 11 years I've been at the casino. So it just kind of started from there. And we started really going out and getting some pretty good sponsors and contributors. And again, I have to say, Ed's participation in that was very helpful. So the sponsors that we had were the City of Lincoln City. We had you guys as a sponsor. Moe's came in as our presenting sponsor, Lincoln City Outlets. These are all contributors in kind and in cash. Bigfoot Beverages brought in 15 breweries, which was really great. We appreciated their input. Willamette Valley Vineyards was our exclusive winery, which was great because they gave us their mailing database. They helped create a lot of things for us. And I think that next year's partnership with them is going to be amazing. Pacific Power, Columbia Bank. Those were our major contributors of the event. Rachel will get into talking about how many vendors we had and all that and the numbers that we had come in. But I think that what is really amazing about what happened with this is I remember years ago when I was at the News Guard, and I think everybody's been at the News Guard at some point. There was this group, this marketing group that tried to get together, and it was Chinook Winds, the outlets, the VCB, and Moe's. And that was when Jennifer Sears was here, and Jim Kikumoto, and Peggy Price, and Diane Coos. And they wanted to get together because they were the big majors, right? And to do something really cool. And we did it. And it took years later, but we did it. We had a mover and shaker. Ed makes things move. The casino jumped in. And so it was really exciting. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the designated driver portion that we added this year. I think I just talked to Chief Killian, and he said there were no issues from this event. We really made sure that we took care of that issue of alcohol and being very responsible about that. Next year, we're going to make sure that we have something special for designated drivers to make sure that we encourage them that they're going to have a button that says, no thanks, I'm driving. We're going to give them a special cup that they can go and get non-alcoholic beverages. That is our biggest concern is making sure that this is a safe event. We had some police officers stop by at the end of the event, and John Peterson, one of my favorite people, and no issues. They didn't even really know this event was going on. They said, we normally on these kind of events, you can tell that something's going on, that it has all to do with beer, but we really made sure it was a family-friendly event. So that's my segue into what Rachel has to tell you. Mm-hmm.
All right, hi. So, we were really excited because, total, including, volunteers and vendors and just everybody that came and participated, we had nearly 1,000 people. And, we were really excited about that. So, it kind of breaks down to volunteers. We had about 30 or so volunteers. 8 of those volunteers were alcohol monitors. We were really conscious of making sure that things stayed very controlled, and TCB was a big part of that too, which was really awesome. So wristbands, we sold about 592 wristbands, but we had about 750 of our commemorative glasses sold. So even some vendors and that they wanted to support other vendors and taste from others. So we had about 750 sold total, and then beer vendors we had. I think Heather hit on this a little bit, but we had 17 beer vendors there. 15 of those were from Bigfoot, so that was a really big partnership for us. We were really, really pleased with that. And then, the wine vendor was just the one exclusive, Willamette Valley Vineyards. We really, they did a great job. Other vendors, we had 5 total. So that included like the fire department, there was a radio station, and a few others. And then we had 15 food and craft vendors. So, and this is just obviously a start for the first year. We intend to definitely grow that all next year, and we're really excited about getting started on that already. The outlet mall reported, Diane Coos reported that she had 12.9% up in her traffic, which is really great. So it meant more business for the outlet mall as well. And I guess I'll just kind of finish up with, we had a lot of positive comments. We had a lot of constructive comments as well, but small things that we can absolutely fix. So very exciting and very positive for our first year. So, yeah.
Thank you. And just, I want to say something, and this is no knock on anyone else, past, present, future. Thank you for coming before the council as the chamber. It's been a while since we've seen someone, so thank you. I appreciate that.
Just a quick thing, because you like people, heads and beds. This is areas outside of Lincoln City for pre-sold tickets. So that does tell you that they are coming from outside of the area. So we just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mr. Hoover.
Jim Hoover, live on East Devils Lake Road, own property in Lincoln City, and I'm a business owner in Lincoln City also. Boy, I was really curious tonight. I heard all this ex parte communication talk and all this concern expressed by the city attorney, and I heard a motion passed, but I didn't hear any of you say that there was any conflict. And so it's really amazing to me as I sit here tonight and wonder why we're holding a public hearing open. Actually, we're not holding it open, we're reopening it, or reopening the public comment period. I wasn't sure what that is about, but apparently this goes till after the election, and that brought back memories of 2 years ago when a city council passed ordinances after an election that were repealed by the voters, and can't help but wondering if maybe that's some of what's going on here, because I was also reminded that we haven't voted on a VRD ordinance yet. And I was just wondering if, 2 years later, deja vu, if you as a city council are going to pop some VRD ordinance out between the election and when the new city council may take office. I was also curious. I was reading through your agenda tonight, and this item number 3 that you just discussed under council deliberations was titled Rezoning Beach Club Event Center. I just didn't remember it ever being called the rezoning of the Beach Club Event Center, so I went back and looked on your minutes, which are also included as part of the packet, and realized that there it's called rezoning of 2 lots on 2020 Northeast 22nd Street in the Ocean Lake neighborhood. And then I went back and looked later in the agenda, and there's an item number 9, which is a request for change of nonconforming use extension, the property formerly known as the Elks Lodge. And so I've seen 3 different names, and I'm wondering how that helps the general public, who I'm always encouraging to read your council packet, and how it helps the general public who are trying to follow along with what you as the city council do actually track with what's going on, because we have one piece of property that's referred to as 3 different entities or 3 different descriptions, but we're all talking about the same piece of property. I guess I'm just wondering what's going on. To start off or to end where I started off, once again, I heard a question asked if there was any ex parte communication, but as I understand, if there's ex parte communication, I heard one city council answer it as, it won't affect my decision on this matter, and yet somehow this was reopened for comment, for rebuttal, but I never heard the accusation that there was anything in the gentleman who was running for city council that wasn't accurate. So there wasn't any presentation. The item in concern wasn't included as part of a packet because I wasn't able to access it. I checked on my email right before I came. I checked on the city website right before I came. So is this just another attempt to circumvent a process? Is there something going on here that I'm not aware of as the general public that I can't figure out from the agenda packet? It just all seems really strange. And so I just ask as a question, what's going on? If there's no conflict, if there's nothing that would cause you guys to make a decision, why was the comment period for written comments to rebut something that was sent out that wasn't part of a city packet and wasn't part of a city public hearing. If you're driving down the street and you see a billboard and it says, "I oppose giving away parking on city property," do we reopen the public hearing for more written comment because you saw a billboard? Are you supposed to disclose that you saw a billboard? I think we've gotten to the point where our city attorney or our city staff has got you guys so afraid that if you do something, you might be referred to the Ethics Commission, you might get a Pope report, they might hire a private investigator to spend $50,000 to interview all your friends and neighbors and everybody in the city. Maybe they'll turn you over to the Department of Justice and file a complaint with the Department of Justice. And so I understand why you sit in a very difficult position as a city council. But as citizens of Lincoln City, I think people elected you to make decisions, not be intimidated by staff if you somehow do something that steps out of line or they perceive that steps out of line. Because as I see it right now, I think the city attorney is 0 for 3, and that we've got at least $50,000 of city money just in direct money for the Pope report, not counting the hours that were spent by the city attorney chasing these. And once again, as a private citizen, I would like to say that this Pope report referred to, which is also the witch hunt, trying to find something the mayor might have done wrong, that was a report that was interviewing people in the city, and people in the city should have the right to see if what they represented or what they gave as testimony is accurately represented in that report. Otherwise, this whole thing just really begins to smell more and more. So I would encourage you to take a look at the process. I would encourage people to say, why are we extending something if there's no conflict of interest or nothing in that mailer that would have influenced you as city councilors? Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks for coming forward, Jim. Mr. Thompson?
Your Honor, may I make a clarification?
Certainly.
The city council followed the statute and our code, which says you, after disclosing an ex parte communication, you must announce the right of parties and interested parties to rebut the substance of the communication. So reopening the record after the record had closed is the only meaningful way to do that. That's why you reopen the record.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Mr. Thompson?
I feel I may have signed up an error. I'm just here this evening to address if there are any.
Go ahead and sit down next to the mic so we can all hear you.
Yes, sir. I feel I may have signed up an error. I have no public comment for you. I'm just here this evening as the attorney for Picture Book in case there's any questions or information we can
I think you're coming up a little later.
I think we are. And
Yeah,
so I'm signed up in the wrong section.
That's
I
all right.
apologize.
It's just fine. Thank you. And Mr. Elton, were you now?
David Elton, Pier 48. I suppose you don't need the whole address, right?
Nope.
Okay, 5 minutes. I'm going to try and cover 5 subjects, but let me just first say that Mr. Hoover had a good point. I think you should consider a strong mayor form of government. Essentially, you have the city attorney bullying city council members.
Hey, David,
and that's,
I
no, that's
want
just
to go
an
down
opinion.
that road again that we did last time, okay?
Okay, but I do have a right to speak my opinion.
And I have a right to stop you, so.
Okay,
let's
you're
keep
welcome
it
to
on
do
track
that,
here.
and I respect it.
All right.
I learned from Ernie Hansen, the former police chief, this past Sunday. I attend church with him, that Officer Dodds, who was shot in the stomach a few years ago, I think 4, 5 years ago, is now in Newport, Oregon, and he's not receiving health care. I don't know if it's the Department of Health or the city manager here. Somehow, he's not receiving health care, and I think it's a shame. So I would hope that you look into that. The man spends a good portion of his life taking a risk every day, and he's now, I understand, he has almost no muscle tone in one of his legs. So I find that just troubling, and I want you to know that. I like to admit when I'm wrong. I'd like to offer an apology to former Mayor Anderson. I'll leave it at that. I don't know if Chief Killian come up here. Now, this is a 5 minutes where I can speak, but can I have the chief answer a couple questions or two? Okay, well, I'll say this. with regard to what Mr. Hoover was referring to, I think we do have a problem here. And one of the problems, I think, stems from the fact that we have a city manager form of government. I know that you have Jerry Warner comes here and he testifies that the city attorney makes, I don't know, $160,000. The city manager makes $160,000, $180,000, a huge salary for a tiny, tiny city. I think we need to look at a strong mayor form of government. Because what Mr. Hoover said about the investigation into the mayor and into a private citizen who I shall not name, spending more than $50,000, and now, today, a year ago today, you yourself, Mr. Mayor, you were found innocent, 5-0 vote, and yet it's still going on. I think it's an outrage, and I think it's something that can be cured with a strong mayor form of government. You have a city attorney, this is my opinion, that is doing something that he ought not do. And I think maybe it's time that we investigate him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elton. Anyone who did not sign up who would like to speak, please.
Thank you. My name is Jay Roloff. I live at 1142 Northeast Lakewood. I didn't sign up, but I've been sitting there and listening, and I just have to make one comment. My wife and I attended the Chinook Winds candidates night, and during that time is when we heard Riley Hogan make an announcement about a erroneous mailing that was made that defamed him, this council, and the city in general. He was really upset. And it was the Strutton mailing that he was talking about. So I heard that, and I wondered what that was all about. I didn't receive that mailing. I still don't know what it was all about, other than I know that Riley was very upset, and he said it was a lie. And this is a campaign, and the mailing was made by one of the candidates in the campaign. And another one of the candidates said, I've been lied about, and I object, and I'm looking for an apology. Wow. I want you all to understand that as a citizen, I was really offended that in our town this kind of thing could happen. I had no idea what it was. I see now it becomes a part of this discussion here, and I hear somebody say, I can't understand why it's part of this discussion. Well, I'm a college graduate, and I can understand why it's part of this discussion. I think it was wrong, and I think that the record should be held open, and I think Riley's objection should be honored, and I think if it was a lie, it should be exposed as a lie. And I'd just like you to understand that there were other people that attended that same candidate session that I attended, and whose interest was piqued just like mine was, and whose concern was raised just as I. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else who did not sign up would like to come up and speak? Seeing none, we move on. Thank you all very much. We are now in our second presentation, Lincoln County Health Department. Amy Chapman.
Good evening. Amy Chapman, Lincoln County Environmental Health. So I was asked to speak about spa pools and operator training, the benefit of operator training. So I'd like to begin by just saying that there are illnesses that can be spread by hot tubs. People can get rashes, they can get gastrointestinals, skin, ear, respiratory, eye, neurological, wound infections from spa pool water. So you can see that Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has dedicated part of their website to discussing recreational water illnesses, and that includes hot tubs. You can see the different illnesses that can be spread are parasites, bacteria, virus, and so how do we keep the spa pool water from spreading disease? Keeping the chemistry in balance. If you have a spa pool with balanced water chemistry, disease is not spread, and if you don't have water chemistry in balance, you stand a likelihood of getting ill. So what is the water chemistry that prevents hot tub illnesses? Basically, it's based on chlorine and pH. They're especially important. Chlorine kills germs, and pH, if it's in balance, allows the chlorine to effectively kill germs, and if it's not in balance, it renders the chlorine not effective. So these important issues are understanding what chlorine is, what pH is, how to keep them in balance, how to measure them. There's quite a bit to know here, and that's why it's recommended that spa pool operators have training. And it can be simple training to understand these things. There's a class online, I think it costs $50, that would help an operator understand pool chemistry. There's a pool companies have training that they do that helps operators balance pool chemistry. Lincoln County sponsors a class for the spa pools and pools that are licensed in Lincoln County, and it's been very effective in helping pool operators keep their chemistry balanced. So the training for a certified pool operator is $300 or more, and it's really training for professionals operating general use pools. But anybody who has that training, it's much to their credit. So notice that CDC bothers to have guidelines specifically for residential pools. That tells you that residential pools are a significant source of illness. So they're putting the information on their website to help pool operators understand pool chemistry and the importance of keeping pool chemistry in balance. You know, how do you test chlorine, and how long does it take chlorine to kill germs? Anywhere from a minute to kill a bacterium, and it could take 10 days to kill a parasite. So what can promote healthy swimming is routinely testing and adjusting both the chlorine concentration and the pH. So what do you do if somebody poops in the hot tub? Be good if the pool operator knew exactly what to do. And the CDC also has a guideline for hot tub safety measures. And there are other things that could go wrong with spa pools as well. Children can drown in a pool, keeping the pool inaccessible. Use a locked safety cover, something like that, or have a fencing around the pool so that children can't gain access. Warn pregnant women to get their doctor's approval before using a hot tub. Keep the water temperature at 104 or below. Keep the recirculation and filtration systems operating properly. And be available on the weekends when there's trouble. So, pool operator, I hope in this brief sketch it comes clear that disease and accidents can happen in pools, and that pool operator training goes a long way to preventing that. Thank you.
Amy, if you could, difference between chlorine and bromide.
Chlorine kills germs and bromine kills germs. And in the licensed pools, bromine and chlorine, either one is allowed.
Huh? No preference one way or the other?
Both are effective.
Okay.
Certain things are not approved, but chlorine and bromine are. And we have licensed, a majority of our pools in Lincoln County are sanitized with chlorine. But we do have some bromine pools.
And I don't see anything in here about any rates of infection or how often it's reported or anything like that.
I can get those for you if you'd like to know.
That'd be great.
Okay.
A lot of part of our discussion, if it was even something to discuss.
Okay, I will try to see what I can do to find those numbers. Okay. A lot of these go unreported. and a lot of them are hard to trace back. So if you have Pseudomonas, you go to your doctor, and it was some days ago that you were in the hot tub, then it's hard to link it back to the hot tub that you came in. So the numbers that you come up are just like any other disease. It's hard to, it's underreported, and you really can't get hard and fast numbers of, like, for example, how much foodborne illness there is out there. There's way more than is reported. For example, we get a report at a restaurant. We had 2 foodborne illness reports, and come to find out 100 people were sick. So it's in the case of hot tubs, I would also guess that it's highly underreported.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
You had a thing on the screen about educational opportunities, but I don't see that in the handouts. Could you send that to us?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to, you can do research online.
Oh, okay.
And just look for spa pool operator training.
Okay.
And there are classes online. They cost about, $50 or so. And so you can do online training. And the pool companies that sell chemicals, some of them do pool training. And a CPO class is a CPO, Certified Pool Operator training. That's very in-depth, and that's like a $300 class. And we do an annual class. We bring over somebody who is an environmental health specialist who is trained to give a class at pool operators in rural areas. And they come over, and we have it's very beneficial to get the pool operators together in the same room so they all know each other, and then to talk back and forth about the various problems that pool operators have. And anybody's welcome to join us if they want to. And we can tell you when we do that if you'd like.
So Amy, I was reading online, and I don't know how they determined this, or it's just maybe an urban myth. But I read that the average person has a quarter gram of fecal matter attached to their butts.
And that's why that people, before they get in a licensed pool, are required to take a shower. Yes, that's where the germs come from the hot tubs, is from the people that get in them. And with us, we all have bacteria. We may have virus or on us, and we bring that into the tub with us. And that's how it gets going. Once the bacteria are introduced into the tub, a spa pool with the warm water is very hospitable to bugs, and they grow and multiply. And the more of them there are, then the more likely we are to get sick. The chemicals kill the bugs and keep the populations low.
So, Amy, that water that I've noticed in the hot tubs, people get hot and then they'll sit up on the ledges to cool off. I would assume that water that's around the edges is maybe 70, 80 degrees. At least in the food industry, that would be, bacteria would be going crazy there.
Oh, yes, that is the range for bacteria growing.
So is it possible to spread like herpes through that? Or is that an old toilet I got?
I think herpes is a virus, and that would not be so likely, I don't think, to be spread in that manner.
How about any of the other venereal diseases?
Venereal diseases are not, as to my knowledge, not spread through a hot tub. Yeah. But Pseudomonas is commonly in a hot tub, and that causes a rash. But the Pseudomonas bacteria, once it gets inside our body, can be deadly because it's so difficult to kill it. And so and it could possibly get into your body in a hot tub if you had the right circumstances. Yeah.
Thank you for introducing the word poop into our records.
Wash your hands
I've never
and take a
seen
shower
it
before you get in the spa pool.
abundantly presented. Thank you.
Thanks,
All right,
Amy.
we were scheduled to have Jim Coos here from North Lincoln Fire and Rescue to talk about smoke detectors et al., but he is not here, so we're going to skip over. We're at the Arbor Day presentation. Park Board members and Deborah Nicholson.
My name is Joseph Yorn. I'm president of the Lincoln City Parks Board.
I'm Feather Ann Herzick, and I am a member of the Lincoln City Parks Board.
Lincoln City carries the designation of a tree city, and to maintain that designation, there are 3 or 4 criteria that we have to meet, one of which is that the City Council pass a resolution for Arbor Day. We're here to ask you to do that. We have a very short presentation to that effect.
Whereas Lincoln City celebrates Arbor Day every year to honor the important role trees play in our daily lives, and whereas Lincoln City residents have demonstrated their extraordinary support for trees in many ways, including a $3 million bond issue passed in 1998 for the purpose of preserving forests and other sensitive land within the city limits, and efforts in the past 3 years to improve forest health in the city's open spaces. Whereas on this Arbor Day, the city celebrates 2 successful thinning projects in Agnes Creek open space, conducted in 2013 and 2014. And the completion this year of the Spyglass Thinning Project, all of which have made the urban forest healthier. This is ideal density. In this next slide, that slide.
Sorry.
Ideal density. And then the next slide, and more accessible to the public. Those would show trails, right? Whereas Lincoln City continues to improve the ecological health of the forest through removal of invasive species, restoration of native vegetation, and tree planting, and to raise public awareness and opportunities for passive recreation through trail creation and maintenance. Therefore, the Lincoln City Parks Board asks the Mayor and City Council to proclaim this date as Arbor Day 2016 and invite all citizens to join in the celebration and the city's efforts to support healthy trees and forest ecology for the well-being of this and future generations. In this photo, Mark Miller led a tour of the Spyglass open space on September 21st. Gail Kimberling reported that a week later her cross-country kids were, quote, still talking about the trail, and they asked to go back every day. On September 28th, the News Guard featured a story entitled Open Spaces, a bit more open after logging, and added this photo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Feather, good job on the little TV show spot.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was terrific.
That was fun.
Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it was the beachfront bargains, something like that, right?
Beachfront bargain hunt on HGTV.
Yeah, well done. You represented the city very well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you both for your work.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, golly, we are moving along here. All right. I thought they just did. Repeat the same thing. They just said it. They just said it. So we'll sign it and send it on to somebody. Okay, public hearings, public comment. Were we right back? Oh, here we go. Thank you very much. To receive public comment on a property owner-initiated request to rezone portions of 4 lots in the Taft neighborhood from park to single-family residential. The applicant property owners Picture Book Properties and Investments, Inc., planning file CPA and ZC 201602. It is now 6:54 p.m. The public hearing for file CPA and ZC 201602 is now open. This public hearing concerns a property owner-initiated proposal to rezone portions of 4 tax lots from Park P to single-family residential R15. The subject properties are located south of Southwest Beach and Coast Avenues and west of Southwest 51st Street in the Taft neighborhood. The subject properties are portions of lots 4, 5, 6, and 7 within a subdivision recorded as The Point. The applicant and property owners of Picture Book Property and Investments, Inc. On September 20th, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and deliberated on this matter. On October 4th, the Planning Commission adopted a recommendation to approve the request. The City Council's role is to consider the Planning Commission's recommendation, the record, and any written or oral comments or testimony, as well as information from staff, and make a decision. The City Council may adopt the Planning Commission recommendation or take other action. All of the file for this matter is hereby placed into the record, including but not limited to application materials, notice, written comment, and staff reports. The council must take a few moments to cover some preliminary matters and required statements. Does any member of the council wish to declare an ex parte contact, conflict of interest, or bias in this matter? Hearing none. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the qualifications of a counselor to participate in this matter? Hearing none. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the jurisdiction of the City Council to consider this matter? Hearing none. The following statements are required to be read at the commencement of the hearing pursuant to City Code and ORS 197.7635. Staff will now read a list of applicable substantive criteria for this decision.
The amendment must be found to be in conformance with the statewide planning goals, the comprehensive plan, and the applicable provisions of the zoning ordinance.
All testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed towards the applicable substantive criteria previously listed, or such, there's got to be another way to say that, applicable substantive criteria, or such other criteria in the plan or land use regulations which the person believes applies to the decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to LUBA, the Land Use Board of Appeals, on that issue. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues related to proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the decision maker to respond to the issue precludes any action for damages in circuit court. Prior to the end of this hearing, any person who participated may request a continuance to provide additional testimony, argument, or evidence, or request that the record be left open to submit additional written testimony, argument, or evidence. Before the staff presents a report, I'd like to summarize the adopted public hearing procedure. A brochure outlining procedures is at the entrance to the council chambers. Generally, the order of proceedings will be as follows: preliminary matters and required statements, staff report, questions of staff, applicant's presentation. Those in favor of the application, those opposed, rebuttal by applicant, request of continuances or to leave the record open, close of the hearing, close of the record, request to submit written argument, deliberations, and recommendations. The city has established some time limits. The applicant will have 15 minutes and may reserve up to 5 minutes for that time for rebuttal. After the applicant testifies, any person may speak for up to 3 minutes. If the council has questions, your time responding to any questions will not be counted in your time limit. If you wish to speak, please write your name and mailing address clearly on the sign-up list at the entrance. Please speak directly into the microphone and begin by stating your name. If you also have any written testimony to submit into the record, please provide a copy to the recorder. Please present staff report.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. Back in 2007, Planning Commission approved an 8-lot subdivision at the southern end, the southern terminus of Southwest Beach and Southwest Coast Avenues. You can see on this map, this is Southwest Beach going north and south, Southwest Coast here. The subdivision is these lots sort of within a quadrant here. Just for reference, down near the bottom here is the Taft turnaround on 51st Street. So these lots were created in a subdivision. The zoning put on that was on the property at the time is shown in this slide. The orange is R15 zone, and the green is park zone. You can see that 4 of the lots here are partly zoned park, even though they're private property. Zooming in a little bit, you can see more closely the extent of the property that is zoned park. The dashed black line is the beach line, the vegetation line. So seaward of that, the property is subject to the provisions of the beach bill. This map shows the topography. You can tell by as the lines are closer together, the red lines are closer together, the slope is much steeper. You can see that just at the top of the lots, the northern ends of the lots, that's relatively level, and then you have essentially the cliff going down from elevation of 100 feet or more down to about 20 feet at the beach line in a fairly short distance. So the area we're talking about rezoning is largely in this steep area as well. How this came to be zoned park is kind of a mystery. What we're trying to do here is correct what appears to have been a mistake that was made years ago. In 1977, in the first zoning, you can see the area of the that we're talking about is over here, up just below the lettering of R5, Beach and Coast Avenues. You can see that the park, the Taft City Park, the city-owned property, the park does not extend into those lots at all, into that property. Then, for some reason, then continuing in the 81 zone, you still have the R5. The properties we're talking about are here. Again, there's no park, and no parks shown anywhere on this map. Then in 84, parks started showing up on the zoning map. One of the interesting things about that is there was no park zone at the time. If you look, I think it was just a way of showing that they're parks and not zoning. If you look at like the topography on here, the typography, the zones, the R5 or RC or GC, is in a large bold type, and then we have these little circle P's with a circle around them indicating park. I think it was just an intent to indicate that those are parks. But for some reason, this area of property, which was not city-owned, was included in this park. I suspect it was trying to follow a lot line without realizing that there were some lot lines missing. Anyway, then this ended up getting continued on. It's hard to see. The 1992 zoning map, all of a sudden the park zone appeared. Clearly it intended to be a zone, but again, at that time, the park zone did not exist. And then currently, you can see here, it is, again, it's zoned park in those 4 lots. We didn't get a park zone until 2002, and then through continuation of the mapping errors, these properties continue to be partially zoned park. So what's being requested here is that what appears to have been a mistake, and which I believe was a mistake, be remedied by taking the park off that part of the private property and basically reverting it to the R5 zone. In the staff report, there's a substantial amount of findings relating how this project meets the statewide planning goals and the comprehensive plan goals and policies. In a nutshell, there's virtually no effect on any of the goals. The only thing that of any significance, I think, to think about is the fact that most of this area is in a coastal hazard zone, and but we do have controls in place on how that property would be developed in the event it does get developed in the hazard zone. And that isn't dependent on the zone at all. It's, whether it was in the park or the R15 zone, it still would be subject to those controls. It doesn't increase or decrease the amount of housing or urbanization or really affect the tourism industry or anything like that. So as the mayor said, the Planning Commission had a hearing on September 20th and made a recommendation that 6-0, by the way, that you adopt an ordinance correcting the zoning on these properties. That concludes my report.
I have a question, if I might. I've read the packet, but this is initiated by the landowner, correct?
Yes, it was.
Was there ever a land use hearing to change the zoning of his property? I'm just curious who's got to pay for this, because it doesn't seem quite right to lay this at the feet of the landowner.
We actually, we had planned on, there are several properties that are shown on our map as zoned park, but were never really properly zoned park. And actually, there were several things we wanted to cover in basically in one hearing, have make a number of corrections. This property owner wanted to go faster than, we just said we would include it for nothing, for free, and this property owner wanted to go faster, though, and elected to file their own application for it.
Any idea what that costs?
$2,500.
Doesn't quite seem right. But just all of a sudden, someone said, your property's this, but there was never a land use hearing, no notification, just...
I agree.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Okay. Well, you didn't have to, but thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions? No? All right. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor,
You do, yes.
is it time for questions during the public hearing?
It says, are there any questions of staff?
Mr. Townsend, the property was described as being on the side of a bluff. Is it literally on the side of a bluff?
Yes, if you, if we look here, you can see, let me, this is the area we're talking about. I'm going to sort of keep circling it here. And then you can see by the steepness, by how close those red lines are together, that's a steep bluff there. Much of it is on the bluff, part of it is not. And actually part of it, especially in that easternmost of the 4 lots, part of what I would consider the developable part of the lot is in fact under the park zone.
And Mr. Townsend, in the applicant's narrative on page 12, the first sentence of that page, I'm having trouble understanding.
I have no idea what that means or where it came from. I have a feeling it was something was inadvertently added or inadvertently taken out.
And would you, so that makes the last sentence on page 11 rather meaningless as well, it seems.
Actually, if you go from page 11, if you omit on page 12 the words 2016-08-02 payment to Carlson for concrete .WPD, take that language, take those words out, then it makes sense. I think it's just got inadvertently stuck in.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's WordPad, isn't it? Or WordPress, the website development.
Yeah,
I think that's what that is. No, doesn't matter. I don't know. Anyone else? Any questions? Nope. All right. Thank you. Applicant's presentation. This would be the time. Mr. Thompson? Welcome back. If you could just state your name for the record.
Roy Thompson. I'm an attorney on behalf of Picture Book Properties and Investments, Inc. Mr. Townsend's presentation was really a very accurate summary. The reason that we moved forward quicker on our own was because prospective buyers of the property or the lot said, please clear up the park issue for us so that we could go forward. And is it Mr.
Norikis.
Thank you for your noting that we're processing error. I did not notice it before, but you are quite correct. And you are also correct that if those certain words are removed, then the sentence comes together again. Beyond that, it was so well laid out by Mr. Townsend. I have no further comment.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your consideration.
Any testimony in support of the application? Seeing none. Any testimony in opposition of the application? Seeing none. Others, including any testimony from representatives of public agencies? Seeing none. Rebuttal by the applicant, if any? None. ORS Section 197.763, paragraph 6A states that upon request, the council must either grant a continuance for no less than 7 days, or hold the record open for no less than 7 days to permit any participant an opportunity to provide additional testimony, argument, or evidence. Does any person who participated desire to request a continuance to provide additional testimony, argument, or evidence, or request that the record be left open to submit additional written testimony, argument, or evidence? Hearing none. And then I go, because no continuation has been requested or no request has been made to hold the record open, is there a motion to close the public hearing and the record?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Oh, wait. I was supposed to jump to 16, wasn't I?
First, we close the public hearing and the record, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
we
yeah.
ask about the...
Oh, okay, all right. So we got a motion and a second. We did have a second? Yes? Okay, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Okay, yeah, I think I did skip. Does the applicant waive the opportunity to submit final written argument after the close of the record as provided in ORS Section 197.763, Paragraph 6E? Applicant signifies yes. Then, okay, does the city attorney or staff have any comments concerning legal issues raised during these proceedings, instructions on the applicable law, or legal advice concerning the application of the law to the evidence of the record?
There's really nothing remarkable that I think needs to be elaborated on here. If you have questions, I'll try to answer.
Okay, this matter is returned to the table for deliberations and recommendations. Well, I think my only discussion would be who's paying for this? And again, I would say I'm not quite thinking that it's quite right that the applicant has to pay for this zone change. I know they wanted to speed things up, but they're speeding up something that wasn't their fault. Just would like to know what the council's thought is on that.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I mean, I understand what you're talking about, but the problem, I mean, it would take time for the city to do it. The city would do it, and it would be free. The applicant wants to move now, and so therefore, you know, if you want to move faster than that, I would assume that you are willing to pay the amount. End of story in my book.
Anyone else? Any thoughts on this?
Councilor Ryan speaks my mind.
Okay, so I guess we're not going forward with that one. My apologies. You got my sympathies. I don't think it's right. The zoning was changed out from under you, and then you got to pay to have it returned, but that's where I'm at. Okay, so we have reached the end of our discussion.
So is this where we'd make a motion then to request staff bring back
Yes,
an ordinance?
Council,
So-
Your Honor, what would happen at this point is your deliberation would result in a motion to approve the rezoning or deny the rezoning, and if you approve, you give direction to return with an ordinance for adoption.
Mr. Mayor, I'd certainly make a motion to approve the rezoning and have staff return with an ordinance reflecting such.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Ryan?
Yes.
Walke?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
And Norikis?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, that's the end of that, correct? All right. Public hearing, we're going to, that's moved to November what? 14th?
Well, in your packet, the applicant, or the Mr. and Mrs. Bradley requested they move this to, continue this to November 14th. Since that was sent out, they have approached me and said, is it okay to move it to December 12th? The 14th is when you'll be taking care of all of the rest of it, and that if that goes according to their desires, then this would not be necessary.
Okay. We don't have to do anything about that, right? Or do we have to?
You need a motion to continue.
Okay, we need
to
a motion to
December 12th.
continue to December what?
12th.
12th.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, ordinances, ordinance 2016-14, request to continue, an ordinance amending the Lincoln City Municipal Code, Title V, Business Taxes, License and Regulations, Chapter 5.14, Vacation Rental Dwelling License, adding and clarifying criterion standards to the VRD license provision of the code.
Your Honor, I believe this item was continued to this meeting, so that's why it's on the agenda. It needs to be continued to a date certain, if we have one.
Okay. We got a recommendation?
We will be prepared to bring this before you in November, if you desire, 14th or the 28th.
Works for me.
I would move that we continue this item, ordinance 2016-14, to November 28th.
Can I get a second here? Anybody?
They asked for November 28th.
Pardon me?
That was the motion.
The motion is to move it to November 28th, but we had a discussion about that day. That's the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes, we do have one. This was going to come under the managers' meeting. That's the Thanksgiving weekend. We don't know what your travel plans are. If on that, if you want to continue to have the November 28th council meeting, or if you're going to be traveling, and that creates a problem.
I will be traveling.
Thank you, Kathy.
I'm here.
Okay, so what is the motion then?
Motion was to move it to continue this hearing until November 28th. And it was seconded.
I will not be here.
Yeah,
That's what I thought we were just went through.
It's up to you guys. There's a motion, then it's up to you guys to determine the date if you're going to.
What was the other date in November?
14th, 28th, or the next one would be December 12th, so.
Move it to, I will restate my motion to move it to the November 14th.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. I guess it's all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. And I hope everyone gets that extra day off and enjoys it. Okay. We're at second reading, ordinance 2016-21, ordinance of the City of Lincoln City revising transportation-related policies in the comprehensive plan and amending the municipal code to be consistent with the 2015 Transportation System Plan, amending comprehensive plan ordinances number 7832 and 8402 as amended, repealing ordinances 2011-15, and amending the Lincoln City Municipal Code Titles 12, 16, and 17, Chapters 12.04, 12.28, 16.12, 16.16, 17.52, 17.56, 17.76, and 17.88. Mr. Apichello.
Your Honor, Council, this is second reading of ordinance 2016-21, an ordinance of the City of Lincoln City revising transportation-related policies in the comprehensive plan and amending the municipal code to be consistent with the 2015 Transportation System Plan, amending comprehensive plan ordinances number 78-32 and 84-02 as amended, repealing ordinance 2011-15, and amending the Lincoln City Municipal Code Titles 12, 16, and 17, Chapters 12.08, 12.28, 16.12, 16.16, 17.52, 17.56, 17.76, and 17.88. Ask for approval of second reading and adoption of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Norikis.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
And Walke. Yes. Motion carries.
And again, thank you to the council for letting me have that extra time to go back over it. Eased my concerns greatly. Ordinance 2016-24.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Again, on ordinance 2016-24, I have recused myself on this whole discussion and the votes, and once again, I recuse myself from this.
Thank you. I'm going to let you read it, Mr. Apichello.
Your Honor, Council, this is the first reading of ordinance 2016-24. Just by way of explanation, at the last meeting, you reopened the record to allow submission of a supplement to the appraisal information to add essentially some evidence regarding the third option, which was to vacate the entire right-of-way and to grant or impose on that property that the city would then own easements which would benefit the surrounding property owners. And so the question precisely for the appraiser would be, is there a substantial impact on market value of those properties if the right-of-way limitation was removed, but private easements were imposed. That supplemental information did come in before the record closed. I forwarded that to council. I've given a copy to the city recorder. Consistent with the draft findings that were in your ordinance, the appraiser indicates that there will not be a substantial impact on market value, so damages will not be required if the vacation with the conditions as stated is imposed in the manner contemplated. So I'll do the first reading, and the request in the council communication is to set second reading at a future date, and that's November 28th. So this is the first reading of an ordinance vacating a 50-foot by 92-foot portion of the northeast 25th Street right-of-way east of Highway 101 in the Ocean Lake District of Lincoln City. Ask for approval of first reading and set second reading for November 28th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
November 28th.
Oh, I didn't-
I know we didn't say we weren't.
Thank you, Jay.
I didn't hear we weren't going to meet. I heard the manager ask
Still
that.
meeting, though.
Well, we are, when we get to the manager section, if you'd like me to cover that now, we're going to cover all of the
we're
rest of the
gonna
dates
kinda have
between
to.
now and the end of the year. So if you'd like to do that, we can do that now. So in November, we have meetings on the 14th and the 28th that are scheduled. We are also proposing to hold a work meeting on November 21st to cover the park advisory recommendations for the park master plan. That one we would plan for the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon. In December, our meetings are scheduled for December 12th and December 26th. Monday, the 26th, is a holiday. It is the Christmas holiday, and so our offices will be closed. So the two questions that I have for you, three questions, is are you available to meet in the afternoon of the 21st for a work meeting? Do you want to hold your regularly scheduled meeting on November 28th? And do you wish to hold your meeting on Christmas holiday, December 26th?
Can we change our December meeting to the 19th?
You could.
I'm comfortable with that.
So you'd have it on the 12th and the 19th of December?
Does that make sense to you? Will you be able to put stuff together within a week for a separate meeting? Or just showing up just to show up?
It makes it a little bit more of a challenge, but we're generally putting things together about 2 weeks to 3 weeks ahead of time. So yes, we could probably work that in if you would like.
Okay, or is it possible just to say we're only going to have one meeting plus was it the Parks one?
Yes, you could say that as well. The only downside on that is that if there are things, we can schedule stuff for later, but if there are things that are carrying over from the previous meetings, this city council will come to an end at the end of December.
That's right, that's right. Okay, well, I'm good with the 19th.
Council, I guess pertinent to the motion and second that's on the floor, we had a request to set second reading for November 28th, so I guess maybe address whether or not you're going to have a meeting on November 28th.
Right, so, but are we back to December? Are we 19th work for everyone? So the 12th and the 19th? Okay, so we're going to have a meeting on the 12th and the 19th, not the 26th of December. Well, good, because that's Boxing Day, and we don't want to have a...
So in November, then, you have the question of the 21st. Will you be available for a work meeting?
A work meeting on?
The park master plan proposal. And then on the 28th, do you wish to have a meeting then?
Well, I'll just reiterate, I will be out of town. Council can still meet, of course, but I will not be here.
I'm available on the 28th.
Thoughts?
I'm available as well.
Okay, so the 28th is good for everyone except me. And Wes, also, you're good? Okay, so there you go. I probably will communicate by a phone at that point then.
Very
Okay.
good, thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, that was clear as mud. So we're still at a motion and a second. There's no,
And 11:28 is good.
yes. But we're not going to, well then, are we going to go ahead and present the one thing we said we weren't going to do since I wasn't going to be here? What was it, the one we'd delayed the parks?
Oh, the
We might
the
as well
Parks
go ahead and-
the Parks
might as well-
Master Plan proposal will still be on the 21st as a work meeting.
Oh, okay.
At 3 o'clock.
All right, so that wasn't changed then. I thought we missed something because I wasn't going to be here.
Well, it's the VRD.
Oh, that's, well, thank you, okay.
So that will be at a meeting when you will be here.
Okay, bingo.
This is the second reading of the
Vacating.
vacation
Right.
ordinance.
And Council, the reason for the delay would be to accommodate an advertisement so we can talk about a possible
Perfect.
land exchange.
No problem then. Okay. So, without any further ado,
Your Honor, I need to know who did who made the motion and who seconded it.
I do not recall. Who motioned on that? All right, and then the second was Chester. All right. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Roll call.
Do we have to have a roll call for a motion? Okay, go ahead.
This was the first reading, right?
Reading on the ordinance.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go right ahead.
Anderson.
Yes.
Norikis.
Yes.
Ryan. Oh, recused. Walke.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
And Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Welcome back, Councilor Ryan.
Sorry, Wes.
All right. That was tougher than it had to be. Resolutions, none. Special order of business, contract award, Northwest 50th Street rehabilitation from Logan Road to Northwest Jet.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Wait for the mayor to come back. This is a construction contract award for Northwest 50th Street Rehabilitation Project. And that street in the past was half in the city limits and half in the county. And so we've always had a hard time maintaining it, but anyway, the city had identified the need to repair Northwest 50th Street from Logan Road to Northwest Jetty Avenue. And the project includes removal of existing pavement, minor grading of the entire roadway, paving and striping improvements to the stormwater system, and adding a 4-foot wide path adjacent to the road on the south side of the road. And we had one bidder. It was Road and Driveway Company, and the amount of $115,550.36. And they are the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. And so authority for this is an intermediate procurement that staff followed under ORS 279B 070 and LCMC 205. And we solicited 3 informally competitive price quotes from prospective contractors. So we contacted 3 paving contractors. And in this case, only the one submitted a bid. And then one contractor indicated they were too busy, and the other didn't respond. And we believe probably because they were too busy as well. And so this project was approved in the 2016-17 budget street capital fund, and the budget amount was $100,000, and we had an additional $27,933.11, which includes contingency, and this extra would come from the capital reserve for this project. And so the project was designed in-house, and it coincides with the other drainage project that we did last year. that there was a really bad drainage problem there. And so this will pave that section and connect everything. So our recommendation, staff recommendation, is the construction contract award be awarded to Road and Driveway Company in the amount of $115,550.36 with a construction contingency of $11,555. It's a 10% amount.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Norikis?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Walke?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
And Anderson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to say on behalf of the residents of the area, I appreciate this project moving forward. That road is in really, really bad shape.
It really is. It just.
The drainage helped some, but
Yeah,
the
and
pavement's
anything,
still real bad.
anything we do on that street just gets washed around, so it'll be a good project. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should be reading something here. We were flowing so smoothly. All right, this is contract award, Northwest Harbor Avenue Phase 2, Northwest 18th to Northeast 21st paving sidewalk.
Okay, so this is another street improvement project. This is the second phase of our harbor improvements from 15th Street to 21st Street. This is the area between 19th and 21st. So the improvements are similar to the first phase. This is the second phase, which will add sidewalks to the west side, clean up some curbs on the east side, some repaving, and a nice ADA improvement to the 21st Street beach access and that intersection. We received 5 bids. We opened bids on October 13th. 5 were received. 4 were responsive. The lowest responsive and responsible bidder is Chris Stiles Contracting. The contractors were, the bids were, it's really fortunate to get this number of bids for this project. We feel like they were really good bids. This contractor has not done work for us, City of Lincoln City, before, but we did our due diligence. I actually contacted some of his references that he gave us just voluntarily, and he's got excellent references for work very similar to this. So we're excited to get this project going as well. Oh, the total, by the way, I forgot about that. The total budget was $276,000. The low bid was $236,517.60. So we also had designed this in-house, minimal costs for advertising, Bureau and Labor Industries, and also we're asking for 10% of the bid amount to be awarded for construction contingency. So staff recommends that the construction contract be awarded to Chris Stiles Contracting in the amount of $236,517.60 with a construction contingency of $23,650.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Lila, the first phase of this was a lot of surprises, as I recall, and some change orders. What's different about Phase 2? And are there, I guess I'm wondering if the contingency is enough, or has that been somehow taken into consideration with the bidding process?
The other section really had quite a few more utilities in the street, and they were really old, and so, we had to chase down some of the laterals and water services. This section is not as complicated, so I doubt that it'll go over this extra contingency amount. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more of an intersection and just more going on in that first section.
Thank you.
Well, I would move that council approve the construction contract and award it to Chris Dials Contracting in the amount of $236,517.60 with a construction contingency of $23,650.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Norikis?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Walke?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
And Anderson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
If I may, Your Mayor,
Please.
Mr. Lila, what's the time frame on this?
I believe we said December 16th. Does that sound right?
Yes, both contracts will begin as weather permits. They're going to try to get in and out, but we're going to be looking at the weather before we issue a notice to proceed.
Any notion on how long it might take?
The paving, the 50th Street was, I believe, 45 days, and we've got I think 4 months for Harbor. I'm not positive on the duration. Mr. Narkios, I'll have to check on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. City manager report.
The only other thing that I have is another calendaring event. November 10th, put this on your calendar, 6 p.m. It is our Jumbotron red carpet opening night.
We have to wear our trunks?
Well, yes, you can wear your trunks, or you don't. Well, you don't have to, but you should. Invitations, information will be coming out in the next few days, but we will be celebrating our Jumbotron with a party, a red carpet affair, with raffles and prizes and goodies and movies and so forth that evening. So,
What time was that?
It'll be at 6 o'clock. We'll even have a rubber ducky waiter if you need one.
Excellent. Was that everything?
That's everything.
Then I have a question, since Ed had left. Do you have any update on our tour to die for? Because one thing I'm going to mention is I have a meeting with the Cemetery Association coming up.
Yes. The first 2 nights this past weekend were very successful. They were booked. We have 3 more nights this week, the 28th, 29th, and 30th. And you can book your tickets by going to tourtodiefor.com. I believe they're going to be sold out. They've been doing quite well on this, and we even have a performer here. Ms. Casarud is one of our performers. It was a part of this.
Wow.
Again, it will be 3 days this week as well.
Okay. I'm going to exert a little executive authority. Cassie, would you care to come up and just tell us just a skosh about it? Yes. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but since we have you here, that would be great if you just kind of give us a little flavor of the night. Just state your name and have at it. Again, I'm so sorry. You don't have to.
Terrifying. My name is Cassie Rood. I'm a reporter at the News Guard. Thank you, Mr. Chandler. Technically, I was an understudy this last weekend, and I performed as Maddie Olson, who is typically performed by the very great Elizabeth Black. So, and yeah, I mean, we had 4 tours that night, and huge crowds, very responsive, very happy to laugh at some of my jokes, so that worked out. Goodness, we've been receiving emails from Ed pretty regularly that say what Mr. Chandler said, that the tickets have been regularly sold out, so.
Good.
Yeah.
And so the flow was fine? People were
Yep.
happy with the time that they got to spend there? And
Oh, absolutely, no.
Great.
We had it timed so that the tour buses were not running into each other on the road, so.
And is there anything you would say to the next groups that are coming through that might help them? Some things you learned that they need to bring or not bring, or just fine?
Bring a sense of adventure and a willingness to watch some really great actors ply their trade.
Right. All right. Thank you. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but thank you for filling in here.
All right, back to
Thank
my
you for
side of the
doing-
room.
Thank you for participating in that. It's a great effort. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Apicella. Indicates nothing. Okay. Actions, if any, based on executive session. We had no executive session. Additional comments from citizens present on non-agenda items. Well, I see two hands. Well, he got there before you.
Jim Hoover. Due to the magic of technology, I was able to take a look at the flyer that was referred to earlier as causing all these problems with this public hearing. And while I may have chosen different words, I'd like to address a couple of the items, since apparently this is just a open period for rebuttal as written testimony and not open period for additional testimony by everybody that might be involved that might give some comments. I watched the Planning Commission meeting where this original rezoning was discussed and voted on to refer to the City Council. And at that Planning Commission meeting, and it's online if anybody wants to go on the city website, the Planning Commission was aware that a parking agreement, lot, land exchange, property line reassignment or rearrangement was in the works, being negotiated by the city attorney, the city manager, with the Bradleys. Now, I'm not sure if the Planning Commission knew that Lila Bradley was the Public Works Director for the City of Lincoln City, but later on in this flyer, when Mr. Scruton says that this seems like a top-down form of government, that the City Council and Planning Commission just make decisions, I had to question myself whether or not the person directly in charge of Lila Bradley was the best person to be negotiating on behalf of the City Council a parking agreement, or if another department head, or I guess in this case another person working directly for the City Council, was in the best position of negotiating this. But the Planning Commission was very aware that to rezone this piece of property without parking would be to leave the piece of property unusable in its existing sense. You can't have a 23,000 square foot building that can be used for commercial purposes with required parking if you don't have required parking. And what they were told by the city attorney, and I'm not sure I'm going to get it exactly right because I wasn't able to pull it up and write it down fast enough, was that before the City Council was presented with the recommendation from the Planning Commission that this would be cleaned up and that the negotiations between the city manager, the city attorney, and the property owner, who also happens to be the city public works director, would be part of a presentation to the council. And I was at that meeting. I never saw anything discussed about that. In fact, as I understand it, based on tonight's discussion, it's still hanging out there because the city manager made the comment that this second public hearing that was voted to keep open and has been open since July 27th or June 27th sounds like a backup plan that if you guys don't rezone the property, then they're going to keep this backup plan on the side burner where they're going to ask for you to, I guess, make this non-conforming use a continuing non-conforming use, even though it's expired because it wasn't used in its present form for a period of time, so it's no longer a pre-existing non-conforming use. If that doesn't at least leave the impression with people in the city of Lincoln City that there's this top-down, outside of the city council, we used to call it a good old boys network, but I guess you can't call it that anymore, good old people's network that goes on in the city of Lincoln City, I'm not sure what would do that. I learned a long time ago in politics it's really good to show up with a picture because people see a picture. And I know I just took about 5 steps across the pond here. But once again, what we're really saying is that the city manager is going to negotiate with one of his employees for a parking agreement and a lot line swap that would net the employee value in their property because the property can't be used in its existing condition as a restaurant or as a public event facility or as a retail space. And if it was given a rezone, it wouldn't be able to operate because it doesn't have adequate parking unless somehow through the plan review process there was some great opportunity that was presented by the city to make it non-conforming, but allowed. While I may have chosen different words, I would encourage people to look very closely at the process, look what was being described here, and I think it's time that we, as citizens of Lincoln City, or the citizens of Lincoln City should say, do we want to keep going on the way we're going on, or do we want decisions made by the city council, made by people on the city council that are in the best interest of the city council? At the last meeting, I read the part of the city ordinance that says, whenever the public necessity and convenience and general welfare require such an amendment, then something can be rezoned. And I still haven't heard where the public necessity, convenience, and general welfare are requiring such an amendment. But at least it's nice to know there's a contingency plan that's sitting in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Mr. Elton, you want to come up?
Council, Your Honor. Of course, the statements made by Mr. Hoover were completely out of order in terms of the appropriate procedure. I remember the mayor asked pretty specifically if the record was being left open for written comments, and that was the indication of what was being left open, and it was to rebut the statements that were entered into the record. So Mr. Hoover's comments were, might have been appropriate being submitted in writing until that last part where he went off on different matters, certainly not having to do with the flyer. I'm at a loss. This is not the first time that we've had people use the allowance to speak under the public forum to ex parte the council on a quasi-judicial matter.
Duly noted.
And I would like to add, since this is now a discussion of public comment, that there's a real chilling effect on members of the general public, citizens of the city of Lincoln City, when the mayor gets to make comments and tell them why what they're doing is wrong, why they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. So I would just encourage you, don't drive through Lincoln City to look at signs, because there might be ex parte communication by his
good. Thank you for your time. You can stay on that side if you want. They both work.
The computer gets in the way.
Oh, okay. Just restate your name if you would.
David Elton,
Thank you.
Pier 48, Shawshank Redemption, Bed and Breakfast. What Jim Hoover just said, the chilling effect, I think he meant to say the city attorney, not the mayor. What the city attorney just essentially said is we don't have a right to speak.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry,
I've heard enough of
who's
this.
yelling at me here?
But
Well,
what
let
was
the
that
record
about?
reflect Mr. Ryan has left the room. Please go ahead.
All right. What the city attorney just did was tantamount to a slap. A strategic lawsuit against public participation is where someone intimidates public participation.
Mayor?
He basically just.
Sorry, excuse me one second.
I'm not going to listen to this. I'm out.
All right, hang on a second here.
What the heck is going on here?
All right, I'm gonna say something here. I'm so sorry if some people here are uncomfortable with people talking about things. This is their time to speak, okay? And to just abruptly get up when you don't agree with somebody, I don't think is proper. We've all had to sit here and listen to things we don't agree with. And maybe it infuriates us, but again, I just have to say, I'm sorry. That's what we're here for. That's what we signed up for, and we got to listen. I know Mayor Anderson had to sit through some really heated comments when he was mayor, especially during the VRD times, but he sat and he listened and let people have their say. Now, I've tried to follow his lead in all these, and this is not going against your time. I've tried to follow his lead in these discussions, that as long as a discussion is about what am I trying to say? It is not about somebody who cannot defend themselves or someone who has not injected themselves into the discussion. I've shared this with several counselors. Then they're going to have their say. Okay? I don't care if you like them or you don't like them. That's not relevant to this discussion. If someone comes up, if citizen A were to come up and start attacking someone in the planning department who's never stuck their nose into this or had a willing ability to say anything, I would say, no, this is not going to happen. You're not going to get that opportunity to berate somebody here. We've walked that fine line with the city attorney because he has been part of this discussion, and so if you have something relevant to say about that, yeah, we'll get closer to it. But if I'm just going to say, I find it very disturbing that people are just jumping up and leaving. It's not right, and it's not the proper.
Well, they have just as much right to leave.
I'm still speaking. So,
Council, I make a motion that I would like to speak.
I
You
still
want a
have the
second?
floor, and you are not recognized, Mr. Ward, okay? So I'm going to ask you to keep to point and make it quick.
I'll do that.
Continue.
How about I get on to some good news? There are two investors looking at purchasing the Italian Riviera, potentially, and reinvigorating and fixing it up and making it run again. How's that for a change of subject? And he's leaving. Anyway, just on a different issue. Historically, the 110 parking spaces belonging to the City of Lincoln City Community Center have been used openly and aggressively by the clients of the building previously owned by the Elks and recently purchased by the Bradleys, Lila Bradley and her husband. To suggest that Riley Hoagland suggested gifting, quote-unquote gifting, a value of $400,000 to a City Hall employee, I think is misleading at best. Allowing the Bradleys to continue letting future patrons to share available parking is not a gift. It is in keeping with the relationship both businesses have always shared. Now, that's coming from a lifelong Republican. Riley Hoagland is a good man, and I think to suggest otherwise, to suppose that he's doing something devious like that, is just really wrong. So, and I would normally, I wanted to speak about, at the beginning of this meeting, the city attorney asked every one of you, almost, what reminded me of McCarthyism. Are you now, or have you ever been? And then he asked you, do you have a conflict of interest? There is a bully in this meeting. I don't want to go too far.
Please don't.
I think we should seriously consider a strong mayor form of government.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else who would like to speak who did not get a chance to? All right.
Your Honor, Counsel, can I make a statement?
We'll see.
I've had to read newspaper articles that state that they put me in a bad light, and I can't respond because to respond would be to disclose confidential information, and I cannot unilaterally do that. I've had to sit here and be attacked, demands that I apologize and resign, leave the state. And I can't respond because if I was to respond, I would have to disclose confidential information. And I can't do that. So I told the council I'm not providing any legal advice to you on the Pope report, and I've not. But your decision not to release the report is harming me because I can't respond to this, just so we're clear.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr.
Nobody asked him to leave the state. We
We're
just
good,
would
Mr. Elder.
prefer he retire.
We're done. Thank you
Before
so
he
much.
is
Thank you very
disbarred.
much. We're done.
And that is a real possibility, Richard.
One thing I'm going to bring up, there are consequences to pushing the chair too far, okay? The chair has the authority to have people removed. And if you read our ordinances about what happens when people are asked to be removed by the chair, when he goes to the, or she, the chair asks the sergeant-at-arms to remove that person, a series of events have to occur, one of them being arrested. And it's not an option. It's not an option, and we don't get to say, oh, yeah, sure, if you want to, you can arrest him. It says if you are tossed by the chair, you're going to be arrested and booked. So I'm just going to remind everyone here, when that gavel comes down and the chair says enough, that means enough. So I apologize for anyone's sensibilities being upset tonight. It's not the way I like to have things run, but there you are. We'll live through this all. Okay, no one else? Okay. Announcements or comments by City Council? Mr. Norikis.
For the record, our mayor has apologized for having, quote, possibly, unquote, violated city council rules. The mayor does not want to release the Pope report. Council has agreed not to release the Pope report. The mayor stated in his apology that he wished he and the council could, quote, work together. And yet, in the October 21 edition of the News-Times, the mayor, instead of honoring his agreement to, quote, put this matter behind us, unquote, proceeded to put this matter front and center by falsely asserting, quote, "I can't talk about the specifics of the report, but I can say there was nothing there," unquote. This council member's trust in the mayor's word has been broken, and his professed desire to, quote, "work together," unquote, is betrayed by his violation of our agreement to, quote, "proceed no further with the Pope investigation," unquote. I would move that the council agree to release the Pope report in order to correct misinformation released to the public by the mayor.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you on that one, because to do so would be violating my rights. Okay, because I still have not declared for a public hearing, so you can't do it. I don't care what you move, you can't release it. And my attorney would have a whole lot more to say about that, so I'm sorry if you've misinterpreted my remarks. I have no intention of reopening this. It was a conversation that maybe isn't exactly the context that it should have been. Anyway, so, anyone else?
Mr. Appicello?
Well, we don't have a motion, because you can't do it.
I'm not providing legal advice on the release of the Pope report.
So, okay, guys. All right, anyone else?
Yeah, I'll take a shot at this.
Okay.
I was just scratched something in on the flyer that went out. There's a quote that reads, "My opponent just recommended to City Council to approve a great big financial gift to a City Hall employee in the neighborhood of $400,000 in value for the free use of 110 parking spaces at the Lincoln City Community Center." Legally, this is wrong. The Planning Commission has absolutely no authority to sell or lease city property. Only the council can do that. Factually, this is wrong. The 9/2016 public hearing and the 10/4/16 written order do not refer to such a gift. So the allegations that this is true and somehow we're working to cover it up are ridiculous.
I'm going to interrupt you. My apologies, but I got the authority to do that. I do not. I was afraid someone was going to do this. What I don't want this council to do. This is a disagreement between two private parties in the middle of an election. Okay, and I don't know that it's council's role to jump in and start debating it. I don't get to debate Mr. Roblin and Mr. Anderson. This is not what we do here. The man doesn't have a chance to answer this, and so I'm going to say we're not doing that. We're not getting involved in the discussions between two private citizens and what they said. If you want to have a forum, you want to have a letter to the editor, that's fine, but this is not what's going to happen at council tonight. I'm sorry. We're just not doing it. If you want to attack me, you can go ahead. That's great. I'm here. So, anything else? Well, all right. I just wanted to say we have one good thing. We do have the cemetery conference on the 29th, which is an interesting group. I'm going to enjoy talking to them, especially sharing the interesting information about the Tour to Die For. Are you going to be attending, Councilor Anderson, the council, what is it called, the CWACT, C-W-A-C-T, the Columbia, no, not the Ocean, not the OCZMA, I'm sorry, I'm on brain fry right now. Something West Area Transportation, I'm so sorry, I'm losing it. You have it? What's it called? CWACT. I didn't say the right word, so what was it? Thank you. Were you going to that one? Good, then I don't have to. Okay. So you'll be at that, and that is important. And I want to say, politics aside, you've always been a great advocate for Lincoln City on our transportation, so I thank you for attending those and keeping us in the forefront. We have I believe I've been invited, Mr. Roloff, the Congregational Church is having an affordable housing seminar, or forum rather, on Saturday the 29th at 4:30 at the Congregational Church. No.
3 o'clock.
Okay, I heard 3 o'clock. 3 to 4:30, thank you. 3 o'clock to 4:30, Congregational Church for affordable housing. So please come, we have a really stellar panel. Has everyone agreed to show up that was listed? So Commissioner Hall, could you come up, we want to speak to that, Mr. Rolfe, just real quick? I think it's important that everyone get involved in this.
Jay Roloff again, and when you've been married for over 50 years, you bring your better half with you.
Amen.
Amen. Yes, David Gomberg has accepted and is looking forward to it. Bill Hall has accepted and is looking forward to it. We have a
Councilor
representative.
Anderson, I saw you on there, too.
And thank you. I was about to say him on the third one. We have a representative from the housing at HUD.
Robertson? I don't know her first name.
Anyway.
Allison?
Yeah,
Oh,
Allison.
Allison, yes.
Allison, yeah, she's coming. And of course, the moderator is the Reverend Grogan, who is the pastor for the church. Wow, there's one other, folks.
Yeah, I wish I had it in front of me, but I don't.
Yeah, but an equally impressive person with good background on this area of affordable housing. And the thrust of the panel discussion will be to look at affordable housing and not just workforce housing, but look at the layers below that for primarily people who are in the service industry in Lincoln City, and not just restricted to policemen and firemen and employees that are in the working workforce housing.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. It's going to be a great discussion. And I think that is all I have. There's nothing else. May God bless you all. May God bless Lincoln City. We are adjourned.